Yo, yo, yo.
What up, y'all? And welcome to the
Lively Life Podcast, Travel Edition.
Okay, so today we're going to be talking about our DC trip. So we traveled to DC on April 18th and we're there through the 21st. And it was our first time ever visiting. It was a super exciting trip for us. Packed a lot in those couple days. And so, yeah, we're just kind of gonna get into all the different things we saw, favorite parts, trip highlights, things we would like to come back and see one day. And we'll talk about leading up to planning our trip.
All right. So, yeah, it's taking a step back. I'd say last year we really got into traveling. We took our first flight, and ever since then we've went to a bunch of cities, and I thought it'd be cool to do every so often just throw in a travel edition where we just talk about one of the cities that we visited and some of the things we saw. So this is the DC travel edition of that. So we took this trip right after tax season. So if you don't know, I'm a CPA and I work with a
flex.
I work with an accounting firm here in Enterprise, and so if you don't know anybody that's an accountant, during tax season is their busiest time. I was working 60, sometimes 70 maybe even, hours a week. So it was rough. How often did you say you saw me?
I mean, there was points when he was going in at like 6 in the morning. So, and then you were coming back. I mean, as it got further along, into tax season, I was seeing you a lot less.
Yeah.
And then he was working every day, like including the weekends. Yeah. So I kind of just forgot even what he looks like a little bit there.
I'd come home for dinner, take a nap, sleep, and then go back to work pretty much. It was rough.
But I always had dinner ready for you.
Yeah, that made it a lot easier, I'd say.
Yeah. So he was working a lot. So what we were trying to do is his boss gives him a couple of days off.
Right. So this year, tax season, because of a holiday in DC, they have Emancipation Day. Anyways, tax season was on the 18th, which fell on a Tuesday. So we usually get a few days after the tax deadline. And so it was on a Tuesday. She gave us the rest of the week. So we had Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday off from work. So
plus your Saturday, Sunday, regular weekend. So altogether we had like five days to kind of do something. Yeah. But as Shelby and I have learned from our travels, we like to have a recoup day or two, because when you come back from a trip and you're just so exhausted, which we really haven't had the leisure of having recoup days, because we usually just travel on a weekend.
We fly out on a Friday night, come back Sunday morning.
Then have to drive home, and so you don't really have time to recoup. But this time we did. Yeah. We stayed Friday, so left that Tuesday night and then came back on Friday. Yeah. It was very, very late Friday, technically Saturday when we got back Saturday morning. But we had the rest of Saturday and Sunday for him to be able to sleep to get ready to go back to work. So we knew that he had those days that he was going to be able to get off. So
anytime we have a long holiday like that, we're like, let's go somewhere.
We're always like trying to find the next place that we want to visit.
And this one was really cool though, because it's not an actual holiday for a lot of people. So we was able to not have to worry about holiday crowds or holiday flight prices, holiday hotel prices.
Which is normally what we have to do, because that's when we travel. So we're always like in that tourist group that is traveling. We're one of those travelers. But I mean, in our defense, we have to do that because it's not like you can get off all the time. Right. So it was nice to be able to have these days, like he was saying, not regular holidays for anybody else, for us to go and visit. And because we knew we had so many days, we wanted to pick a spot that required several days to see it all.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we've seen several cities in a day, and we felt content that we got to see enough. So this had to be
you won't
worthy.
get to see like a lot of the outskirts or like some of the other tracks, but if they have a main downtown draw to it, you can see it all in a day, I'd say. Most cities, or some of the bigger cities.
The main core attractions.
Yeah.
So whenever we were deciding, we're like, okay, it needs to be somewhere where we knew it was going to take several days. And I started looking into different places. We talked about like out west and things like that. But then I was like, DC, it's perfect because it has all of those museums and monuments and just so much to do that there's no way you'd be able to do it in one day.
No.
So I was like, we can totally do this in those 3 or 4 days that we were there.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how we landed on DC. We actually had started planning like more than a month in advance, which is really rare for us.
Yeah, we're very spontaneous. It's like a deal goes on for Southwest. We're like, oh, let's book a flight. And like a week later, we're in the air going somewhere.
We literally booked a flight on like a Wednesday or a Tuesday and then flew out on a Friday before. Yeah. So to have it scheduled more than a month in advance was a big deal. So, yes, once we kind of landed on DC, it gave Shelby something and I to look forward to because he was working so much. We were just like, okay, we just got to get through and then we'll go to DC and it'll be so much fun because we love to travel and go and see places and new things. So, it was going to be exciting. Okay, so 4/18 was the deadline day.
Yes.
That was the day Shelby was like, I'll be getting off at like 12. That's what they said.
Yeah, we like to wait around till all the tax returns are either extended or filed and send up to, I guess, wherever they send them up to, the government, I guess. I don't do that part of the tax returns.
Yeah. He's like, that's admin. I don't know.
But yeah, so we were just waiting around till they were all done. And we thought we was going to be off by like 12. And I could have left, but I didn't want to leave everybody else there.
He should have left.
Knowing there were still other things I could be working on, so I didn't leave until, what time did I leave?
Like, way later than that. Like, 3?
Yeah, it might have been closer to 3.
3 o'clock. And so I'm panicking because I'm like, Shelby, I don't think you're understanding that we have a flight that night. And we were flying out of Atlanta.
So you lose an hour.
You lose an hour. So it's 3.5 hours away, but you lose an hour. So you always have to account for 4.5 just for travels. That's absolutely no slowdowns or anything. And you have to also account for getting to your parking, which we always park at a park and fly, and they have to shuttle you to the airport. They pick you up at your car. And then getting through TSA and getting there, the flight starts boarding 30 minutes before it takes off.
Yeah.
So having all that extra built-in time, and Shelby just completely drowned all that extra time out by staying at work later. I was panicking. I was like, we're going to be late. So I've already at this point got the car packed, and I just did everything I could here to make sure that when he got home we could just literally throw it in gear and head out.
Yeah. It probably still took another 30 minutes before we actually left though.
Yeah, I mean, but I did have lunch ready for you.
Yeah, that was nice.
So that we could eat on the way because we didn't have time to stop.
Yeah.
So, and I think I also went and got gas too, so that we didn't have to get that either. So, I did all the little last minute things.
We was prepared. Yeah.
Okay, so our flight out was that night at like 10:45?
It's the latest possible.
The latest possible flight, and we flew into Baltimore.
Yeah, so I don't know if you remember, we thought we was rushed against time.
Yeah.
But that day, Southwest was having computer problems.
Oh yeah, Dad called.
Yeah,
remember?
And then we found out our flight actually got delayed by 20-30 minutes maybe.
Yeah, might have been like 25 minutes or so. Dad was like, I don't know if you've seen, but Southwest is having computer issues, so they're like not just like delaying flights, but like
had to cancel some.
Yeah, I don't know. So he was like, I don't know if you've looked, and I'm like, no, it hadn't said anything. And then literally it wasn't like a couple minutes after that.
Yeah.
It said that it got pushed back. But
it actually worked for us, though, because we was on the shuttle going to the airport, and that's when we were supposed to be boarding the plane.
Yeah.
So if it wasn't for the delay, we would have missed the flight.
And Shelby is always ridiculously optimistic to like, it always works out. Yeah. So that's why he thinks he can do these things, like push us behind schedule. Because he's like, it'll always work out. And see, we got delayed, and he's like, see, it always works out. I'm like, Shelby, you can't count on the fact that something will happen to delay us. But it did. It did. And he's still annoying about
Until
that.
I miss a flight, I guess.
Shut up. You don't want that. So, we flew out that night, and we got to Baltimore. It was past midnight for sure.
Yeah.
Because it was like almost a 2-hour flight, I think, from Atlanta to DC or to Baltimore. And then we stayed at that hotel.
That was a nice hotel, though.
It was nice, and everyone in there was nice.
Yeah, they had it looked like it used to be an apartment, and it kind of got like renovated into a hotel. Did you get that vibe?
Well, I think it's an extended stay hotel, so I think that's why he's thinking that, because they kind of are set up like apartments. Like our room even had like a sliding door to divide the bedroom from the kitchen / living room area. And the bathroom was all like separate little room kind of things. So that's for people who are like staying there for like long periods of time. So I think that's why you think it felt apartment like. But everyone there was really nice. Yeah. We weren't even there very long. We did get to go down and have breakfast though.
They picked us up at the airport.
Yep, they did. Shuttled us back to the hotel that night.
We ate breakfast there the next morning.
They had a 24-hour shuttle. Yeah. Ate breakfast, and then we had told them the night before that we needed to get shuttled into DC, or shuttled to the Amtrak train station, so that we could get on our train to get into DC the next day. And they said that they would take us there too. Yeah, they would literally take you anywhere. Like,
within a certain radius.
Which was like we'll take you around all Baltimore, basically.
The restaurants and stuff.
Yeah, that lady was really nice. So the next morning we got on the shuttle and made it to our train. So I'll let you talk about our train experience.
So we had never ridden a train before. So this was our first time ever riding a train. So we didn't really quite know how they worked. You get on the train. But so we had got our tickets online. And then we made it to the train station. And we just went up to the front desk like, hey, we never rode a train before. What do we do? And it's like she showed us where to board our train at. So we had to walk outside, go in the elevator, walk over a bypass, and
a bypass. It's
a little crossover. What is it called?
It's like a bridge. It's like a bridge that goes over the train.
Bypasses the train tracks.
You make it sound like it's like a major highway. Like we didn't truck over a highway to get to this train station. So it took us over to the other side of the tracks.
Because one's going one way and the other train's going the other way. So.
Yeah. There's like 2 different train tracks right beside each other.
But we got there in time to kind of figure everything out. And then we got on the train. I was kind of surprised. I guess I knew it went fast, but like being on the train, you didn't like. We have Life 360, and you can look at yourself and see how fast you're going. Like when people's driving, you'll see like they're on the interstate is like 60, 70, but this train's going like 100 plus.
Yeah, it didn't even tell us how fast. It just said plus. I was like, well, that means we're going faster than 100.
And you look outside and it's kind of just a blur, but when you really notice is when another train passes by you. Yeah. So it's like you notice this long train, but it's like a split second. It's like it passes all the way through. So it's like, wow. We're both going really fast.
Yeah, and when you said that, it actually kind of just freaked me out again because, like, these train tracks are so close. You don't even realize how close the trains are to each other, like, lined up side by side until literally one passes, and you're like, this window doesn't open, but if it did, like, if you reached your hand, not even like your arm, your hand out, it would get completely sliced off by that train. That's how close they are. So you're just like, I really hope they did their math on making sure that these tracks are far enough apart so these trains don't hit each other.
And I just had like a real epiphany just now. Like those movies where people are like fighting on top of trains.
Yeah, freaking right.
Completely unrealistic.
Well, I mean, we always said that, but like 100-mile-per-hour
Yeah, I've never experienced a train though, so like I didn't really know like. But yeah, completely unrealistic. Like, no way.
I was honestly kind of nervous and a little bit sketched out thinking about taking a train ride though, because I don't know, it seemed kind of like, oh god, you know, when you think about public transit, like a bus, you're like, oh gosh, I bet it's very sketchy.
Well, it wasn't free, so that's usually helpful.
Yeah, that's true. I just didn't know what to expect on like taking a train, but I mean, it was fine. I mean, it felt like Polar Express, like a man literally walked by with a cap on and punched our tickets.
Exactly. Somebody looking for tickets or something.
Yeah, tickets or something. Well, like we never had physical tickets. They look at your phone and like scan it, and then they put like a punch ticket above your head where you keep your luggage above you and like punched into it. I guess they know
it means something to them.
It means something to them. I don't know, but I just had that clip in my head where they just punch them out for the Polar Express into like different like believe, you know, like words and stuff. I'm like, oh my god, does mine say DC? But that was pretty fun. The train ride from Baltimore to DC is actually pretty quick. I think it's only like a 30-minute train ride, and it has like one little stop into some small little town before you get into DC.
It had a weird name. I can't remember what it was.
I can't remember either. But
I don't know.
And so then we made it to DC, so we got into Union Station. Yeah. So once we got to Union Station, we're like, all right, here starts our day.
That's a much bigger train station than the one in Baltimore.
Yeah.
So I thought it was like, it's massive.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
Yeah.
And it has like the big dramatic like ceilings and like, you know, like archways and stuff, you know. Like,
there's a lot of gold there, wasn't there? I feel like I remember gold.
Yeah, I mean, kind of all like stone and gold and like glass, like looks like crystal, you know what I'm saying? And it has like a food court and everything, escalators, all the whatever. So we got off the train and we were trying to get an Uber to our hotel so we could drop off our bags because we didn't want to go around DC with our luggage. So we were hoping that we'd be able to, if we weren't able to check in into our other DC hotel, then we were hoping that we could at least drop our luggage off, which we had okayed with them before we
They would hold your luggage for you pretty much.
Yeah, they'll like put it in some back room if you can't check in yet, so that was nice.
So we had to stay, our hotel was actually in Alexandria?
Arlington.
Arlington, yes.
Arlington, Virginia.
Yes, because staying in downtown DC is expensive.
Like the most expensive I think I've ever seen for anywhere we've traveled. Like,
with it not being a holiday or some special event, you know.
Yeah. It was pretty expensive. So Arlington is not very far away, and it was much more reasonable. And we were able to get one night for free. Yes, one night we had booked free on like points. So, and then our Baltimore hotel was also on points. So we ended up only paying for one of the 3-night hotels that we had. So it was expensive, but it was like when you divided it by 3, kind of, you know what I'm saying? Like it was like $100 a night because I think it was like a $300 hotel. Yeah. Which is crazy, but when you get the other 2 nights free, it was okay. Yeah.
So when we got to the hotel at the one in DC or Arlington, they didn't have a room ready for us, so we were just going to put our bags back.
Charge up our phones in the lobby.
We sat there just charging our phones, and I guess, I don't know if she felt bad for us or...
Probably. She's like, these hobos in my lobby.
But within a few minutes, they're like, okay, we got a room ready. We're like, oh, that worked out nice.
So then we went up there, just dropped our stuff off, which to me, I don't know if it's like logical, but I'd rather drop my bags off in my room than in like whatever room they're gonna put your bags, just because
less
I feel
likely
like
of a mismatch.
Yeah, or somebody to just come in and take your bag. Yeah. Like, I don't know.
Feels a little safer.
Yeah. I mean, who knows who has keys to the rooms in hotels anyway? So that's why I'm saying I don't know if it's like logical, but I like to think that they hand you a key and nobody else can get in your room.
That's true.
So we did that, and then Shelby started getting our Uber to go back into DC, which is only like, it was like, what, 10, 12 minutes maybe?
Yeah.
It wasn't that far to Uber into it, and we went in with a plan. We knew what we were going to do. We were Ubering to the Jefferson Memorial.
Right. So yeah, most of the times we kind of just go on whim of like whatever feels like we need to go to next. Yeah. But this time we knew that there's a lot to do in DC.
We had to be strategic.
Yeah, we only had 2 full days, 2.5, I guess.
2.5.
Yeah, so we had to had to have an itinerary.
Yeah.
So the first on our itinerary was to go to the Jefferson Memorial, which I thought was really cool.
I thought it was cool too. It's got the massive statue of Thomas Jefferson in the middle, and
so the outside has this big dome.
Yeah.
So that's how you kind of know it's the Jefferson Memorial, because it's this really big dome.
Yeah.
And then you walk in, and it's this huge. I don't know how many feet, but like 100?
Oh gosh, I don't know. Probably, yeah.
40 maybe?
And they were doing construction, like renovations to make it more like accessible and stuff. They were saying they're going to do something on the bottom floor or something. Because like it has really grand steps that you have to walk up to get to it. So we did that, and then
they have also they have sayings. Some of his like famous sayings all around the memorial, which is pretty cool just to sit there and read them.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like a smart man, He helped draft the Declaration of Independence.
Sounds right to me.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Let's go with that. He's like, excuse me, you went to my memorial and you don't know that I did the Declaration of Independence? He signed it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm fine. Yeah, probably.
Or maybe he did, I don't know.
Oh, gosh. We're so educated. So after the Jefferson Memorial, you walk right back out the way you came in, and it's the tidal basin is what you're looking at, and it's basically like kind of like a lake.
Yeah, it's like a really big lake.
Yeah. It's
bigger than a pond, I'd say.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Kind of like a little mini lake that they have right out there.
What it's really known for is like during a certain season of the year, they have these cherry blossoms. They bloom, and it's beautiful. People come from like all over to watch these cherry blossoms bloom, and just like when they're in season. We had just missed it. We were like maybe a week or two.
Yeah,
they just bloomed.
You could see them on the ground.
Yeah, it's like, oh, this is what it looks like.
I like picked them up in my hands and like made Shelby take a picture. I don't know if that's poetic or what, but I knew that when we were coming, I was like, maybe they'll be blue.
Yeah.
Like I was thinking about it and everything, but they locals are telling us that they kind of bloomed early this year.
Right.
They got a little confused because it got a little warmer, and then I think it got cool again. I don't know, but it was nice when we went.
Yeah, it wasn't too hot. I mean, there was some days it was a little humid.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
It wasn't that bad.
So the tidal basin is just like that big lake, and like he said, it's surrounded by cherry blossom trees, and it has a sidewalk or like a path, and you can walk around it. So we were walking around it, and we were headed to the monument on the other side, which is the Washington Monument, which is like just this very big stone tower.
Yes.
The triangle top.
I don't want to say how many feet, because I feel like I'd horribly guess wrong, but yeah, it's just like
I can't remember. It's really
tall
stone. Yeah. And you can actually go inside it, but you need to have reservations.
Which is really weird, the way the reservations are set up. So you can do it exactly 30 days in advance.
Yes.
So if you do it on the, not 31, not 29, it's got to be exactly 30 days in advance. You can reserve a day. Yeah. Or you can do it the day of. So you have to show up that morning and stand in line, or...
Well, no, they say you can do it online, but I don't know. But it's like that day of...
Maybe it's one day
ahead before. Yeah.
And then they have some that day of. But we were unable to do that one, to go inside it. And there's like an elevator that takes you all the way to the top, and it has like a overlook of the whole city, I guess.
Yeah.
So that'd be kind of cool. But we did go up to it, though. Walk up to it.
We did walk up to it, and it has like this beautiful lawn. It's surrounded by a bunch of American flags. It would just be perfect to like have a picnic up there for sure.
Yeah.
It would be sweet.
Cool little story I learned about it was that there's like, you can see 3 different colors on the monument, and apparently they had started building it, but then they had to stop because of war. I think they ran out of money because of war, and they started again. But when they started again, they didn't like the kind of stone they got.
It was, the quarry was out of stone.
Yeah.
That stone they originally started with. So
they stopped that second coat of stone, and then they added another layer. I guess they liked that one better. So that's when there's 3 different layers of stone coloration on the monument.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool.
So that was, I really liked the Washington Monument. I thought it was...
Yeah, not much to it, but...
It's iconic and beautiful.
Yeah,
and
it's a sight to see.
We took a really cute little kissing picture in front of it, too. I was like, that's cute.
Yeah, she was so excited and giddy when we was taking this picture.
Oh, my God, I was excited. It was just so... It was, like, perfect. You could see it in the background. It looked nice. And I mean, he was having a great time kissing me, so there's that. I mean, whatever. And okay, Shelby, what do we do next?
I think from there we walked to the Natural History Museum. So in DC they have these Smithsonian museums, and they're all free, which is I think awesome.
Never heard of a city like
Right,
this.
and they have like 13, I think, 13 or 15 different.
I think it's 13 or 11. I can't remember.
Yeah,
but there's several Smithsonians.
So many, and they always have like different things. So the one that we went to was a Natural History Museum. Mm-hmm. So that's like there was
dinosaurs,
big woolly mammoth, dinosaurs, underwater creatures,
mummies.
Yeah, mummies were there.
Yeah, just like cool exhibits, like colder climate exhibits, plants. Think what's the movie?
Not in the Museum.
Not in the Museum.
I think the second one is called Battle for the Smithsonian. I think it's based out of that museum. So like,
well, they did some filming there. You said, right?
Yes, they did do some filming there, and you see some things that's like from that movie, like that big what would you call it, like a totem pole, the big
totem
hand
man, the stone totem.
You know, it's like dum dum, give me gum gum. Like they had that thing there, so like that's pretty cool. I saw that in the movie. You know?
And I feel like the mammoth too is like an iconic image for that movie. So all of that was there. It was pretty cool to go in there. It doesn't have anything to do with like the history of DC, but it's like it all historical, like think of the earth. You know?
Natural.
There you go. Well, that's where it comes from. Yeah. So it was pretty cool. I mean, they had real mummies there. Yeah. Which is like cool and sad at the same time.
Mm-hmm. They try to give like what they believe was their backstory of like, but based on how they're preserved, like it kind of tells them what class they were in, or maybe possibly what they did, because like certain rituals to go with how they preserved them and mummified them.
They're like, this guy didn't have arthritis on his back, so therefore he wasn't a laborer, so he probably had money. Yeah. Which is pretty cool. They're able to figure that out. So I enjoyed the Natural History Museum, and then from there we went to the American History Museum, which is like down the road or something.
Yeah, so it was right across the street, I think.
And so that one was full of like really cool art exhibits. Like we got to see Dorothy's
red slippers, ruby slippers.
Yeah, ruby slippers from the movie. So that was pretty cool.
So they have a whole section just for sports and entertainment.
Oh, Shelby's face.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's awesome. You know, so it's like a baseball signed by Babe Ruth.
I like Babe Ruth, so I thought that was really cool. And he has like a very legible signature too.
Yeah, it's very easy to read.
Mm-hmm. Was there anything else you saw there that was pretty cool?
There was like some boxing gloves. I can't remember.
Muhammad Ali.
Yeah, it might have been Muhammad Ali. Yeah. There was things from like Sesame Street. Some musicians.
Oh yeah, like instruments. We got the stand. They actually didn't even have it protected. It was like part of the actual 1969, right? Is that the year?
Go with it.
Woodstock, the original Woodstock.
The floor,
like part of the stage.
Yeah.
So I got to stand on that. So now I've been to Woodstock, and there was just a lot of cool different things there, all about like Americans and history and stuff. One of my favorite exhibits was the presidential.
Yeah, so they had like things for the presidential side, so like all the different presidents, but they also had, I think this is what you were alluding to, the wives, the first ladies.
Yes.
I know you really
Go
like that.
Women. Yeah, the first ladies exhibit was really cool because it was like all of their clothing, like going back, way back. I don't even remember which one was the first one. Like, I mean, they had stuff from Abe Lincoln's wife, like Mary Todd. And so like they had like their clothing, their fans, you know, that they used to fan themselves, like shoes.
They each had their own like, I want to say they're different plates and stuff.
Yeah, everyone has their own set of china. Like, so everyone had different china. I was like, ooh, I like this outfit, and then of course, no surprise, it was Jackie Kennedy, and like she's
icon.
she's known for fashion. So I was like, yeah, hers was cute. The other ones, you guys have questionable taste. But yeah, there was just a lot of really cool outfits and stuff that you got to see there. So. Oh, and they had Abe Lincoln's hats, like one of his like super tall hats, remember, in that glass case? Yeah. That was pretty cool to see.
I'd agree.
And I can't remember if there was anything else super notable that we saw there?
One thing I thought was really cool is that house. Do you remember the house?
Was that in that museum?
Yeah, I want to say so. Yeah.
I think you're right. Yeah, they had a house that was. Where was it local to?
I can't remember where, but
Boston?
might have been. Was it 1800s?
Yeah, for sure.
And they moved it to this museum.
Yes.
The whole house.
And like showed the history of like how the house evolved through time, all the way through like the Great Depression and stuff.
It's like the different people who lived there and like things they did within the house too. It showed like how they added on to the house
over time.
Yeah, like outhouses and added plumbing and stuff.
And they even had like they'd mentioned this is where like slaves would have like been, you know, and everything. So this house is like several hundred years old and survived through all that time. So they were able to take it apart, ship it to this museum, and then reconstruct it inside. So it was just like the joist, basically, you know, like the main would be so you could see in and everything, but it is still crazy to see.
I'd say so. Yeah.
And then from there, what did we do next, Shelby?
So we got on a trolley. Oh, we had dinner first. What was that place called? It was this burger joint.
I can't remember. A Shakes or something. Remember? It was like Shake Shack.
Shake Shack?
Shake Shack. That's what it was.
That's what drew us to it. Shake Shack. You don't want a good milkshake.
Why not?
Yeah.
We needed to get something to eat. We had been going all day. We needed to grab dinner before our tour that night. Yes. So we stopped at this place, Shake Shack, and got like chicken.
Maybe a franchise up there?
Yeah.
Like I never heard of it, but it might be a franchise up there.
It would be popular down here for sure.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, we had chicken, burgers, and a shake.
Yeah.
And then we were gearing up, charged our phones.
Yes.
That was important.
That always gives her security. She loves a good charged phone.
Like, because you never know, man, when you'll need, you know, especially in a city you're not familiar with. So I was like, we got to charge our phones. So we did that. And after dinner, we headed over to Old Town Trolley. We've used them before in a few different cities now.
Savannah, Boston.
In Boston, yep. Yeah. And then now in D.C. And so it's a trolley company they've set up in several cities, but they take you around to the different sites in that city.
Yeah, during the day it's hop on, hop off. So you can stop at each tour or stop, and then you can get back on, usually 10, 15 minutes later. And it'll just take you to the next stop.
This one that we had booked was a Monuments by Moonlight tour, so it wasn't hop on, hop off. It was like a legit tour, and you'd hop off as a group and go to these things. But I was really excited to do this because we'd seen some of the monuments already during the day, but at night in DC, it's just all the monuments light up, and it's just really beautiful. And so we were really excited to go ride around and see them.
I really enjoyed the narration from the tour guide.
Yeah, they're
very
locals, so they know what they're talking about.
She was able to give a lot of good tidbits of history and just like things you wouldn't get just walking around, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
Really enjoyed that.
So we rode by the Capitol. We got to see the Capitol building at night, or it wasn't really night. It was like the sun was setting. The White House. We got to get out and off the trolley at the Lincoln Memorial, which is stunning. I mean,
oh my God.
Massive Abe Lincoln in his chair.
Yes. Oh gosh. I just seeing him like in that light, I feel like Abe was a G. I just keep thinking that I can see him like just coming off that chair and just like meaning business. Yeah, for sure.
Well, he was clearly.
Yeah, I know.
He like ended segregation. So. Yeah.
Slavery.
That's not segregation.
Step further,
yes. But so we saw the Lincoln Memorial, and when you go down the Lincoln Memorial steps, like if you're looking the opposite way when you're leaving, is straight across is the reflection pool, which is just like that shallow water that they have right there, and the Washington Monument's on the other side, which is all lit up and beautiful. And so you can see the reflection of the monument on the reflection pool water. So it's just really, really stunning at night. And
is that what they called the mall, the Washington Mall, or the Monument Mall?
The mall. Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but I don't really know.
Okay.
I just know the water itself is called the reflection pool.
Pond. Yeah.
Reflection pool.
Pool. My bad.
Pond. There's no fish in there.
I've only been one time.
And then like to the, I don't know, either right or left, on each side there's war memorials. So the Korean War Memorial and the Vietnam War Memorial. So we were able to go to each of those, which was really cool. I think it was Vietnam that had all the statues where like you could see all the soldiers and they were kind of like covered in, it almost looked like ponchos.
Yeah.
Because
probably something to do with the terrain. There.
So that was really cool. And then on the other side, I think it was it the Vietnam, where it had all the names.
Yeah, that was
it had all of the names engraved of like all of the soldiers and everyone who went and lost their lives, and that was massive. And they actually have people that go there every day and lay out different like flowers or pictures, writings, and our tour guide told us that they pick it up at the end of every day and store it in the National Archives building. So they don't leave it out there, but they pick it up. So that's pretty crazy to think that there's people that do that like every day. Because like I saw pictures, like people laying pictures there. Yeah. It's just crazy to think that like there's people alive today who have relatives who did it, who were in those wars.
It wasn't that long ago, was it?
Yeah, it was. I mean, you ever seen...
Was it 60s, 70s?
Veterans say, like, they were Vietnam vets. Like, they're old.
Yeah.
They're not young.
Right, yeah.
You know, so... I mean, it was a pretty long time ago.
I guess.
And...
Time just flies by. It's alright, 2023.
And so we did those, and we had to hustle back to the trolley.
They did not give us enough time.
No. They were like, Shelby and I were like pure sprinting to get to all of these.
I think we may have been the only people that tried to see everything.
Everything, yeah. Everybody else is like, I'm just going to see this, or I'm just going to do... And Shelby and I were like, everything, all or nothing.
We was afraid we were going to get left and then have to find our own way back home. But
yeah, they were like, don't get left.
Yeah.
They will leave you. So anyway, we got back, and then what else did we see? She took us,
Keep going. Sorry. The FDR Memorial.
Oh, yeah.
That was kind of cool.
Okay, that was a different spot that they took us to, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, they took us to the FDR Memorial and the MLK, which they were supposed to be beside each other, but you've got to be fast walking to make it to both of those in time.
Yeah.
So we got to see, take a picture with his FDR statue and see his like different writings and stuff through time. And
they had 4 different sections, I think one for each of his terms.
Yeah, because he's the longest reigning president, right? Because he had 4 terms, and then after that they changed it to 2. And then we went over to the MLK Memorial, which was really beautiful. They had like a massive MLK statue, like kind of busting through.
Some kind of rock.
A rock. And I think it's because he had said something. One of his quotes and one of his speeches was talking about busting through, like
I can't remember it.
Coming through or something. I don't quite remember, but it was a really pretty monument.
Yeah,
it's crazy how they can get your facial features so right out of stone. Yeah. So we did that. Got back on the bus.
Yes. So you want to tell about a little side story from that tour? Do you remember that?
Are you talking about the fact that like she was trying to take us out to go see? There
was another monument we were supposed to see.
It was the one where they're like lifting the flag.
Iwo Jima.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we were supposed to go there, and on our way, she notices that the exit that we're supposed to take is blocked off.
Yeah.
So she starts kind of freaking out a little bit because the way that we had to continue on, there's parts where there's bridges that have like low bridges, and we wouldn't be able to pass through.
Yeah, she was sweating. She was like talking to her dispatch and was like, this exit was closed, and like you had only one way to go then. If you couldn't take that exit, you were just having to go straight.
Right.
So like we had pulled over and everything, and she was like, well, like you can't go back. There's no going back.
It's one way.
It's one way down. So you just, once you were already on it, there's nothing you could do except keep going. So she was sweating.
We're on a trolley tour bus too, you know,
it's a massive bus.
Can't maneuver too well.
We were all like clapping for her as she made it under every bridge. Oh my God, it was stressful. I was literally holding Shelby's hand like I've never been so nervous in my life, which I think most of them were labeled, like the bridges and everything. And stuff, But she was like, there's got to be one up here that's a little bit low, I think, or whatever. But she was able to basically keep taking rights until we were off of it. But you know what's crazy? We didn't get to do anything extra because of the Iwo Jima.
Right. We did stop. We didn't get off, but we did stop just to kind of look at it. It was the World War II, I think, memorial.
Yes.
We just kind of saw it from the bus, but
yeah. I know, I was a little sad though, because I was like, I wanted to go.
Kind of got cheated out a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, because there was like this roadblock or whatever, but I mean, not my fault. But I'm glad that we didn't have a bus accident, because then they'd want to talk to all of us, I imagine. And I'm not interested in hanging around to file a police report.
Lord.
So then, that ended our Monuments by Moonlight tour, which was beautiful. We had so much fun. It was really nice to see the monuments like at night. And I will say, and I was telling Shelby this, when we were out there at night and like walking in between, monuments, it is dark. Like it's not all lit up and everything, like all the different paths and stuff. But the monuments itself are. But we never once felt unsafe, and we never saw like a lot of like sketchy individuals or like homeless people, that like might be lurking in the shadows, or like just anybody with ill intentions, you know. So we never once felt like we were in danger. Yeah. Which was nice because, I mean, we've been to several cities where...
Yeah, I feel like the overall vibe of the city of DC seems very family friendly.
Yeah,
they actually... I feel like they do a lot to try to keep it safe. And
yeah.
I mean, they got politicians and the president's there. So
that's true.
They got to keep it a pretty clean city.
So I was glad that when we were walking around at night that we didn't feel unsafe. That made me feel good about it because... you never know doing a tour at night in this strange city, like what you'll see or who you just don't want anybody to pop out. So it never once felt like that. But we had a great time. And then we finally got back to the hotel, went to sleep, and
very exhausted.
Geared up for our next day, which we thought Wednesday was busy. Thursday was going to be pretty busy too. So Thursday we got up after I had breakfast at the hotel, which was nice.
Right.
Really nice breakfast. And then the first thing that we did was Uber to Ford's Theater.
Right. So we had a ticket to go into the theater at 9.
When they opened.
9, right. So it was first thing.
You had to have a reservation.
Yeah. So we're like, we're going to have a full day plan. So let's do this at the earliest possible. Just so we can have it. And it's we was doing a bus tour later, so we knew that was actually the exact same place. So it was a great place to start for us.
Yeah, it was right across the street from where the trolley tour begins.
So we was getting ready to leave, and was going to get an Uber to go back into DC because we're staying in Arlington. And we was doing good on time, and then I swear it was like 5 minutes later, I actually called the Uber, and we're like behind by like 30 minutes now. Do you remember that?
Are you talking about going to Ford's Theater?
Yeah, to try to get to Ford's Theater.
Yeah.
We thought we were going to be late, and like they had like a policies like you can't show up late, and I don't know, they felt like it was kind of strict,
Yeah, but then when we got there,
our Uber driver was like, he must be a local too. He was
100%.
Zipping in and out of traffic, going in the right turn only lane, and then last minute shifting back over into the Ford lane. I try
not to look at what they're doing. Shelby's paying attention to like all of their crazy movements. I mean, like I was seeing him like almost hit people, because they literally just get over and then hope to God the other people just stop.
Yeah,
that's how these people drive. But it was definitely like traffic for commuters going into DC
for the morning,
and it was so packed. Like it was bad. But we ended up
he cut off probably 5 minutes of our time, so we got there. Right there, like there's a long line to get in, and we was able to walk right up as the line was moving in. So we was right on time. It worked out really good for us.
And if you don't know about Ford's Theater, it should sound familiar to most people. That is the theater that Abraham Lincoln was shot at by John Wilkes Booth. It is still a active theater, so they still have performances there. They're just not like often, like they only do like probably very important performances and every so often. But yeah, it was really neat to go into the same theater that he was. Like the outside, you know, it's all very protected.
It's just like a building,
yeah.
But, I was gonna say, before you go into the theater, they had like a whole little small museum part. There was like the history of Abraham Lincoln and just that whole era of the Reconstruction and the Civil War and all, like just cool little stories and whatnot. And then that's when we went to the actual into the theater, which
they round you up.
And there was a park ranger there who like told the whole story of like the night leading up to it and how he gave a speech, and I guess it made John Wilkes Booth mad, and it was like, oh, I'm gonna kill that man. And then it's like his whole story of how he was an actor at the theater.
Yeah, that's how he was able to get around.
Yeah,
like there's like a secret
tunnel that goes across.
It
goes across the stage. So.
That he was able to take.
Yeah,
and yeah, he was able to get across like that, sneak up to the special presidential box and everything. So
it really was a wild, crazy story. You know,
it was.
The whole thing, it's like almost like, I don't know, it doesn't seem real, you know?
Yeah. And they were saying that, you know, back then they didn't have like a Secret Service team. They didn't have like all this like protections for the president. He was basically just a regular human.
Yeah.
And they didn't. I mean, he got special treatment. He got the presidential box. He got to sit in this really cool spot, but there was nobody guarding his door. There was nobody like, you know, making sure that people didn't have weapons or anything like that. So it was pretty sad to like, you could actually see the box in the seat where he was shot. They tell you which one it is, and kind of give you the story of how he got over there. And John Wilkes Booth afterwards was able to get away for like, what they say, like 10 days?
Yeah.
Something like crazy long, and then he ended up getting caught and they murdered him.
Yeah, then they killed him, yeah.
But it was basically because that guy was racist.
Yeah.
And that's why he was mad at Lincoln for doing like the things he did to end slavery and unite the United States. So that was pretty sad, but it was a really cool experience to be actually in the theater where it happened. And park rangers always give super like good talks.
Yeah,
like
they're very knowledgeable.
They are,
and I feel like they're probably scripted, obviously, you know. But the way they lay it out just kind of really paints a good picture, I'd say.
Yeah, I don't know. A park ranger is a very trusted individual in my book. You know, I don't know. They're just like very wholesome.
Yeah,
and like so to have like the Ford's Theater be like controlled by the National Park Service, you know, you're like, okay, it's not just some random company spewing like just whatever facts, you know, like it's very legit. So anytime we've ever had a talk from a park ranger, like they just are always very informational.
Yeah, very knowledgeable.
That was fun. And then from there we walked to the White House.
Yeah, so no, that's when we got on our tour bus. The hop on, hop off bus.
Yes. We got on our trolley tour, and that was one of the first stops we got off at. The
White House, yeah. So we didn't really know, like, we knew there was a side that's really good for, like, taking photos, because obviously you can't just walk straight up to the White House because security reasons and whatnot. So we got off on one end, and we wound up walking all the way around, so we saw all four sides of the White House.
We did.
It was a good bit of a walk, but
took our pretty pictures with it. Saw so many Secret Service canine dogs. It was pretty cool. I really wanted to ask for a picture with one of them, but I just figured they'd probably tell me no, and I didn't want to cry. So I just let them do their job. But it was pretty neat to see the White House like that. Like Shelby said, we walked all the way around it, so it was pretty cool to see it, and like, because you see it on the news and stuff, but then to actually see with your own eyes the house. Shelby's like, it actually doesn't look as dramatic as like people make it, you know, because there's so many monuments and everything in DC. It just, I mean, it looks like this white building, but I mean, it's still pretty spectacular.
Yeah, I'd say so.
But so we rode by there, and then the next stop that we
did that one next.
The bell tower?
I think so.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, so from there we was able to walk. I think we still
Yeah,
walk. We
we still
walked
walked.
to the.
It's old post office
Yeah.
bell tower is what they call it.
And it's really hard to find too because
Oh,
we
gosh.
walked to where the GPS said it should be, and I guess it brought us to the building. We didn't realize it at the time, but we didn't see the entrance because we walk up to it and it's a hotel.
Yeah, it's a hotel.
So we're like,
It's not clear at all.
where do we enter at? Like, we don't want to go to this hotel. We want to see this bell tower.
Yeah.
So we walked to one side and it's like, oh, still the hotel.
Yep.
So it was like one last ditch effort. We walked back to the other side of the building and like down some steps and to the left, it has like a small sign that says
Bell Tower. Oh wow, can you hear that thunder?
Yeah.
It is storming outside.
Spooky.
But anyway, it has a little sign on the door, like you were saying, that literally says like Bell Tower entrance this
Yeah.
way. And I'm like, what? Like what? This is a hotel. I'm very confused.
Mhm.
So what's weird about this is like it's half hotel, half
Monument? National Monument now?
it's the Park Service people that also control that too. So half monument where you can go up into this bell tower, like they take you up, and it goes all the way to the top or whatever, and it has like this old bell, and I guess it used to be a post office, and it's got a really great view of the city, so you can see like the White House, the Capitol, all these different monuments. You can see the Lincoln, the Washington, the Jefferson. Like you can see all of this stuff from way up high. So it was pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
I really wasn't scared, and I'm scared of heights, but
it was all enclosed.
It was. It's like enclosed with bars.
It wouldn't let you get close to the edge.
Yeah.
So it was pretty safe.
I felt good about it, and then we just took the elevator ride back on down, and had us a little cracker break.
Every day we'd stop to eat crackers and drink some water.
It was the only thing that would get me through. Because we weren't eating lunch.
Right.
We were eating crackers until dinner and just surviving.
Because we only had so much time.
Yeah, exactly. So then after that is we did a walk over to the National Archives building. And the National Archives just holds like all of the like official papers and important things, like, you know, everything's digitized, but this is where they keep all of the stuff and the digital files too, I'm sure. So my favorite was the flag.
Okay, yes, that was
like
really
the
dope.
Legit first flag. Like, what's her name who made the flag?
Star Spangled Banner?
No, not the lady. The lady who like made the flag. Betsy
Ross?
Yeah. Like, I think it was like the original like 13 colonies flag, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And like they sewed it together, and they don't even let you take pictures or videos in that room at all.
It's kind of weird, but yeah.
And it's like just pinned up. It's like this massive flag that's like pinned on this mat or whatever that you can see through a glass case. But fun fact is that people were like cutting apart the flag back then because they wanted a piece of history, but not knowing that all these years later the flag would be put up in a museum, and all they did was steal parts of history by cutting it up and doing God knows what with those.
Yeah, like someone took a piece of the star.
Yeah.
Like they didn't want the edge of the stripes. They took out a piece of the star.
One of them, the whole stripe like section was missing and everything. So
It's
people were, and of course those pieces were never found. So it's like somebody got it, stuck it in their attic, and everybody thought it was a handkerchief that they blew their nose into. And
that was crazy to me.
But the flag itself, the majority of it survived, so that was like my favorite part of the Archives Museum. What about you?
I'd say like the really important documents, like the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah.
I don't think it was the actual one.
Yeah.
But it was like a copy of it, I guess.
Yeah. It's like an exact copy or whatever. There was lots of stuff like that too, where you got to like look at like, oh, remember the alien stuff?
Yeah, that's.
Of course, they're not giving us the real stuff. Let's be honest. But they have like where they keep files of where people like reported certain UFO sightings.
They
and
had recordings, some of the president's phone calls. That, like they didn't. I guess they knew they were getting recorded. I guess.
No, they didn't.
Okay, that's weird.
But now it can be entered in. I think. I don't know.
It's strange, but yeah, there's like recordings of the president on the phone talking about different things,
different strategies, different things that are now allowed to be known to the public, but back then it wouldn't have been. So the National Archives was pretty cool. It just had a lot of history in it. So then after that, we
just
were concluding. What?
Yeah, we got back on the bus and rode it around. They took us a whole bunch of different
Yeah.
stops. But we was too tired to get off after that, you know.
Yes.
So we just rode the bus.
We just were looking at places at this
Yeah.
point. We were physically exhausted. Like, we were walking so much. So, yeah, we got our money's worth by hopping back onto the trolley, but just, like you said, like, riding around and seeing the stops.
Right. Our poor tour guide, he was a new guy. He said it was like his third day on the job or something. And people were asking questions. He's like, you know, I try to learn something every day, so I'm going to go home and look that up.
Those people were so ridiculous, though. You can't expect a man to be a human dictionary in Google. You know what I'm saying? Like, asking very random stuff. Poor Eagle. That's what his name was, Eagle. But then we finally, when we got off, we were able to find something to eat right by where we got off at, and we had this pizza dinner at this place called, what was it?
It's like a question mark or something?
Yeah, I don't know.
In pizza? In za?
Something like that. That sounds right. I don't know. It was some pizza place, but it was pretty good. You got to build your own little pizza, but it was like rectangular looking.
It felt like a Subway for like flatbread pizza.
Yeah, flatbread. Okay, there it is. I was like, rectangular pizza? What is that called? Yeah, kind of like flatbread. So that was pretty good. And then from there, we got an Uber.
Back to the hotel. And we got back at a reasonable time. Yes.
So we were like, we got back and we took like a nice long nap. Like, it was like probably 7:30 or so. I feel like, I don't know, we woke up.
Did we not just go to sleep?
Huh?
Did we just go to sleep?
We went to sleep, but I ended up waking up again at like 7:30 or 8 because we had time.
Yeah.
So that was nice. And then we just went back to sleep later. Shelby's like, we can go like get some ice cream or something. I was like, I'm just too tired.
Yeah.
So we just went back to bed. And then Friday, last day.
That was jam-packed too.
It was. So woke up, got breakfast, geared up for our last day. So we Ubered in to the Supreme Court.
Yes.
Because we had time tickets or something, right?
No, not for the Supreme Court.
We didn't have a reservation?
No, we had.
Okay.
Oh, the next two things we did have reservations, but this one did not.
So Supreme Court, the law of the land.
It was pretty cool. They had like busts of different Supreme Court justices, just like some of the famous ones. Like the only ones that stick out in my mind is the women. You know, like the first woman on there. Yeah. Do you remember her name?
I can't remember.
I think it was Sandra Day O'Connor.
That sounds right.
Yeah, I think that's it. Okay. So yeah, she was the first female Supreme Court justice. So they had a whole little section for all the female Supreme Court justices,
which was monumental for her because like it was. I remember it was telling her story, talking about how she like graduated law school, which was like basically unprecedented during her time, and then like no one wanted to hire her, so for her to end up as a Supreme Court justice was like a really big deal. So reading her stuff was interesting. And then, so they had like a lecture that you could go to at, I can't remember, it was like 10 or something like that. And so we got to go inside the actual courtroom where all the justices actually meet, sit, and have hearings. So that's pretty neat. On days that they're not meeting in there, obviously. Which
happened to be the Friday that we were there. So
yeah, that was pretty cool. And, you know, they talked about the history of the building, you know, all of the justices that sit up there and everything. And, you know, just got to see all the history. They wouldn't let you take pictures when you're in the room.
Right.
When they're giving the talk. But you could take pictures from the threshold of the door. Which makes
sense to me, but
no sense to me. And like there was like people who were trying to challenge that, remember? They were like, why? It doesn't make any sense. If we can take it from the threshold, why not inside? And they were just like, I don't know, like the dignity of the court or something. I don't know. Yeah, because like if it was for security purposes, like you wouldn't allow pictures at all. So I don't know, but it was really cool to see like actually where the Supreme Court justices sit and meet, and they were talking about their schedule. Like it's very much like pretty much scheduled days, you know, because they hear a lot of cases. So that was pretty neat. And then we left and walked from the Supreme Court over to
the Library of Congress,
Yes.
which was pretty cool. I'd
We
say.
did have times for that.
Yes, we had
entry
a
for that.
timed entry for that. So we got there. There was a line to get in, but it wasn't too long. We waited to get in because I think it was because of security that made it take a minute. What do you say the coolest thing was from there?
Was it Edison's? Whose library was it?
Jefferson.
Sorry,
yes.
I don't know. I was like Thomas
That was
Jefferson's personal library.
Yes.
And like they had tabs, like everything's enclosed like in glass, but it's all on bookcases, so you can see like the names of the books, but they have them tabbed for like this is his original book in like red bookmarks sticking out, and if it's like white or gold or something like that, it was like they know it was a part of his library, but it was a replacement.
Right. It was like the same edition.
Yeah.
Same edition book, just not his actual book, though.
Yeah, they couldn't find his actual book.
And there was some that was just the same book,
the same book, yeah,
not the same edition. That was really cool.
He had a lot of books.
Yeah,
and he had like they had quotes up there about like his favorite thing being to read, and education and stuff. So he had a ton of books. I can't imagine going through like 10% of all the books he had. But it was really cool to see like some of them are actually his books. And then they had that guy set up on a webcam.
Yeah.
Inside, like literally sitting inside the circle that they had set up for the bookcases of his books. And he's like, come up and ask me questions.
People thought it was a video, but he'd like specifically point people out. Like, hey, you in the red, come ask me a question.
Yeah. They have somebody just set up on a webcam to answer your questions, so that was pretty cool. But the Library of Congress, you got to see a lot of different. We got to see paintings, like painting exhibits.
There was photography exhibit.
Yeah. It was just a lot of. We got to sit down, thank God, and watch a video about the history of the Library of Congress and why it's so important to document. Like I think everyone thinks that because our generation is like on social media that they don't have to document things there.
Yeah.
But that's not true. And they talked about how they have somebody who goes out and like takes physical photographs of like what it looks like to live in our time now.
Yeah.
Because that's what they used to do then, and that's how we know what it looked like in rural America and like just in different places across the US. So that was pretty neat, but it's just a beautiful building.
I think we didn't actually get to go inside it, get on the look, but there's like that area where people actually
the main reading room is what they call it.
The reading room, yes.
I guess those are researchers that are able to go down
so,
there because you could see them.
Yeah, they actually said they're reading.
Yeah, you could see them like down there reading. One of them, he was taking a nap. He was like kicked back.
Yeah. But
yeah, you can like walk up the staircase and you can like see the reading room like from an above viewpoint, and like it's like it reminds you of like a very old like college library feel, like dramatic,
multiple stories.
Yeah,
it's cool.
Like they have like the desk lamps and like very old. Everything's just beautiful though, and like the marble, they had paintings like all inside, you know what I'm saying? Like the artwork and stuff inside the building is just beautiful, like on the stone. It's a lovely building, the Library of Congress. For sure. That was fun. And then where'd we go next, Shelby?
From there, we went to the Capitol.
We had a Capitol tour.
Yes. So in order to get a Capitol tour, you have to reach out to one of your persons. Is that the politically correct term?
Sure.
It's not a congressman, it's a congressperson.
Oh, gosh. And you had to
request a tour. We originally tried to request a tour of the White House.
Yeah.
Apparently, you have to do those like 30 days in advance, and they didn't read our email 30 days in advance.
We definitely sent it more than 30 days in advance, but whatever. So
we settled for the Capitol, which I've heard the Capitol tour is actually longer, it worked out well. Before we actually went on the tour, we ate. They have like a cafeteria out like right beside the Capitol.
It's actually part of the Capitol. Yeah, it's just like another section of it.
Yeah, so we ate lunch at the cafeteria there. Had some chicken tenders and fries.
And then you have to walk like across the street and go over to where your representative. So we had to go over to, what was our representative we went to? Barry Moore's office.
Yeah.
So you check in there. They have like a tour guide who.
So they have their own
picks us
offices. They're like different buildings. So like one side's the Senate and one side's the House of Representatives. So we went to that building that we went to.
The House of Representatives was our building. And then they take you. See, we had to physically walk across the street before, like, and then on the way back, they take you through a tunnel that goes under the road,
which was really
which
cool.
was cool,
yeah,
and takes you back into the Capitol from the Representatives building. So that was pretty cool. We didn't have to go back outside because it was very hot at that point. And so that's when we started our Capitol tour. And he's like a little intern who's like studying.
It's crazy to think we're older
politics.
than him, you know?
Yeah, he's like studying politics at the nearby university.
Was it Maryland?
I don't know, maybe. I can't remember.
Yeah.
And then, so you watch a little movie about the history of the Capitol. It was pretty cool. And then he takes you on a tour, and you get to see like all of these like super old rooms. You get to see the rotunda. He tells you this is where like, you know, presidents walk up this staircase. This is where, like, if somebody important dies, they have their body in, is it called wake? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. They lay in waiting, I think is what it's called, where they let the casket lay, which is kind of creepy. Yeah. They're like, and then they had those poles, you know, like red carpet poles. Where,
roped off.
Ropes, where they're like, yesterday they met, so they left the poles up of where you walk through.
It's where the congressmen work through.
Yeah, they walk through that part. Yeah. And we got to see a bunch of different rooms.
So
there.
Also in there they have these statues.
Yeah.
Like each state has so many statues within the Capitol. So that's pretty cool seeing like each state's like famous people they wanted to represent. Like Alabama had a Helen Keller statue, which I thought was cool. Was it Rosa Parks?
Rosa Parks was there for Alabama.
Yeah. Both of those are pretty cool.
So we got pictures with those. And you got to see, like, on the floor, in that same room, remember it said, like, they had a tile on the floor that said, this is where Abe Lincoln's original desk was when he was just, like, a House of Representative.
Senator, probably.
Or senator, okay. And then they had another one, I can't remember who it was. John Hancock,
Maybe.
Somebody, and they had a plaque on the floor saying this is where his desk location was, which was pretty cool. I wonder how they ended up figuring that out. I guess through documents, maybe, you know, placement, but you could actually stand where their desk were. And they showed us they had rooms in there where the Supreme Court used to be within the Capitol building. Yes. There was 2 different rooms where it used to be there back in like the 1800s to 1900s. So it was pretty cool to see. Now they've got a massive building all to themselves. But and then we got to see of course the beautiful chandeliers and the paintings and their domes are just
so much beautiful architecture, you know.
I mean, it's
columns and
you know, it's gonna have to be beautiful. Yeah. You know? And what was really cool to me was when we were in that underground stone thing was, you know, the War of 1812. Apparently, they had tried to burn down the Capitol, and the stone was there, so like it was tinted red, orange, whatever. And they said that was actually because of the fire. Yeah. Like, from 1812, so it was pretty neat to see like
history's just right there on the wall.
Yeah, right there, literally on the wall.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think about that being the existing structure still there. So I really enjoyed the Capitol tour. I thought it was fun.
I think it was a good like pinnacle to our
it was
ending event, you know, to our trip.
Yeah, we were like, and then when that happened, the Capitol tour, after that was done, we were like, okay, we're ending our trip. We got to go back to Union Station and catch a train to get to our flight, which is our last little story.
Yes, oh my gosh. So we were supposed to probably get to the airport probably an hour early, 2 hours early. Yeah, we had plenty of time. Plenty of time, because it was like the last. Because flights the train rides actually got more expensive the closer it got to 5.
Yep. So we tried to book it.
We got like the latest cheap train ride back to Baltimore. So we were going to have plenty of time. But when we get to Union Station, we started looking at the train schedule, and our train it says it's delayed.
Like, first off, it wasn't even popping up.
Right.
But that's just because we had a while. Like, we waited a while before we showed up early.
Yeah.
And then it never popped up.
Yeah. But then when it did, it was like saying it was delayed.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, well, it's going to be a little closer, but we're going to have plenty of time, you know.
Shelby's trying to reassure me I'm sweating.
Yeah, so I'm like, oh, we're going to have time. It's okay. Because we had plenty of time before. Now we just have a little less time, but we still have time to do it, you know. But then the closer it got to that schedule, it kept getting pushed back 5-minute increments. Oh, it's going to be delayed more. It's going to be delayed more. Like, the train hadn't even come in. And once it comes to DC, it waits 20 minutes, I guess, to reload everything to go back out. I don't know. The train hadn't even made it into DC, so we were freaking out.
Yeah, I'm like, it's a freaking train. It's literally train tracks. There cannot be traffic. You know what I'm saying?
Like, what's the delay, man?
What's the delay? Yeah. So I'm sweating because we have an 8:15 flight, and like our train was supposed to leave at like 6:05, and like at this point, well, we ended up not leaving till 6:45.
Yeah.
So we were very much pushing.
We even talked to the train people, like, hey, we have a flight we have to get to.
Like, I'm going to miss my flight.
Yeah, we're going to miss a flight. What can you do to help us out here, you know? And they go up to the schedule, like, you're going to Baltimore? I was like, yes. Like, oh, well, go back to the register, cancel your tickets, and then go to this kiosk and buy more tickets. And I was looking at the schedule, the other train he tried to put us on, it was like 5 minutes sooner. Like, that doesn't help. We're still going to miss our flight, you know?
And not to mention, the train he was trying to put us on was currently boarding.
Yeah.
He wanted us to go wait in line, have them cancel our ticket, give us a refund, and then buy another ticket, all while this train was boarding. I was like, okay, no, Shelby, we're not doing that. That's just stupid. We're just going to have to wait out for this train to get here and just hope for the best.
Well, Kim was in line to get our ticket canceled to try to do what he was talking about. And I was looking at the board of all the schedules, like, hey, look, it's actually here now. So I ran it back to her. I was like, hey, Kim, it's ready. And by the time we got back, there was a long line to board our train.
Massive.
No other train had this long line.
Yeah.
But we was at the back of the line. And then, like, there's more people behind us, too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like everybody in Union Station got on our train.
Our train. I was like, is this all for this train?
Yeah.
And they're like, yep. I'm like, okay, that's strange. Like, I was literally over here 2 minutes ago and there was no line.
Right.
Now all of a sudden, and we'd been in there for more than an hour, like 2 hours, and we never once saw a train line like that. So it was pretty crazy. But I was on the phone with Southwest being like, if we miss our flight, what can we do? And of course, they're just like, oh, you can pay all this extra money to get on this other flight, you know?
Like, no,
and I'm like, no, thank you. And they told us like a workaround if we missed it. If you showed up, told them about it, and if they had room on a later flight, they'd put you on it. Thankfully, we made it in time.
Yeah, so like we got on the train got to, so from there it was going to take a shuttle back to the airport.
Yeah.
And we had to wait around for the shuttle too. That took forever. So like we were freaking out, man. It was like.
We were cutting it really, really, really
like
close.
we got to the airport probably, what do you say, 15 minutes before we were supposed to board?
Yeah.
So we never been to this airport except for on the way in. So we didn't really know how it works on the way out. So we run into the airport, we go to TSA, and that was our saving grace. TSA was empty. We just
walked right up. The guy was literally laughing at me as I'm running through. They set up the stupid maze where you have to go zigzag all the way through. I'm like, oh my God, there's nobody in this line. Can you just please make it straight? So anyway, he's like pure laughing at me as I'm running through the zigzags trying to pull out my ID. Yeah. Because I'm just like, honestly, it would have been so much more crushing if we would have missed the flight by a few minutes than if we missed it by an hour, you know? Yeah. So I'm like, we made the train, we got here, the shuttle finally showed up to take us from the train to the airport. We've got to make it. If we're going to make it, just got to go. So then there was nobody at TSA, so we were able to fly through it, thank God. And of course, our gate was at the very end of Southwest, like the literal last gate.
Literally always happens to us, though.
Ours is always the last gate. So, and then it got delayed. We showed up, literally like...
It didn't even get delayed. It was just people took forever to board.
Yeah, they didn't delay it.
We was in the B group.
Yeah.
And the A group was taking like forever to board. I don't know what was going on.
Well, they had the one guy announcing and scanning everything, also wheeling the wheelchair people on.
I don't know. Maybe they're understaffed or something. I don't know.
It's crazy. But so we ended up like making it, like getting to our gate literally 5 minutes before boarding.
Yeah.
So everything ended up working out. And
it just reiterates my thought process that we're not going to miss our flight, you know? We'll always be good.
We hope. We can hope. And I was just so thankful because we already knew that if we made our flight, we were not going to get home. Because remember, we have 3.5 hour drive until like 2:30 in the morning. Yeah. So if we would have been on, and that was on an 8:15 flight. If we would have got the 10:45 or 10 whatever flight they were talking about, it would have been super, super late. And I was already tired and exhausted and ready to get home. So thank God we made that flight. But I was about ready to just strangle the train people because they were not being helpful.
Who knew a train could be late?
Yeah, what the heck? I was like, I literally thought this was the one foolproof like way of transportation, you know? Because like they don't even have to worry about turbulence. They don't have to weather condition. You know what I'm saying? Unless it's like freaking snowing or like a moose on the track. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like what? So, anyway, we ended up making it, and then we got to Atlanta, got shuttled back to our car, took a deep breath, because we finally were going to be driving home. Yeah. We stopped at Buc-ee's in Auburn.
It just opened.
Had just opened.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
And made it home at about 2:30 in the morning. So we were exhausted, but we had a blast. DC was so much fun. I mean, I could definitely go back and see so much more.
Oh yeah.
But
there's so many different museums, like free museums that we just didn't have time to go to.
Mm-hmm. I definitely would. I would go back just because there's more to see. Like, there's a lot of places we've traveled to that I'm like, okay, I feel like I got the gist of it. But I feel like DC, especially knowing it's family friendly, I feel like we could go back one day if we have kids too, and it wouldn't be a big deal, you know, to have them around. Yeah. So, but we had a great time. I'm glad that we picked DC. Of course, when I get home, I'm always like, okay, Indeed, what's some jobs in DC? And Shelby's like, we're not moving to DC. Like, I always want to move everywhere we visit, but it was great.
Toxic.
You have any last words?
So I was going to ask you, which one was your favorite?
Favorite monument or favorite
thing about DC?
My favorite was when we did the Monuments by Moonlight tour and we were at the Lincoln Memorial.
I was gonna say Lincoln too.
The Lincoln Memorial.
It stood out as the best.
Oh my gosh, it was just stunning. And like it was at night, you know, so it was all lit up. The reflection pool showing the Washington Monument and everything. It was just beautiful. I can't wait to pull up a picture so that we'll post it to our Instagram. So make sure to follow us at the livelylife_podcast on Instagram. We also are on YouTube if you're listening there as well. Lively Life Podcast. But if you'd like,
pull it up.
Yeah, should be able to find it. But yeah, we appreciate everybody for subscribing, liking. Shelby, you want to mention something?
Yes, we have 220 views, which was like 220 people have clicked on one of our episodes.
Yeah, so that's exciting.
That's really cool.
We appreciate it so
I mean,
much.
some of them was us trying to listen to it ourselves.
Okay,
making sure it was there.
We're definitely not 15 or something crazy like that. So
yeah, we definitely appreciate all the listeners out there, and like Kim was saying, if you want to shoot us any kind of questions or like maybe something you want to hear on the podcast, listen to us talk about.
If you have any, like you said, questions about like DC, you know, if you're planning a trip, you want to ask us something, you know, recommendations, things like that when we talk about travels, you know. That way we're not just spilling all of our travel stories to you. Of course, it's fun for us to relive them and tell, you know, what we did and didn't like. But if you have questions or recommendations that you would like for us to give, then we'll totally do that.
For sure.
Just reach out to us any way we can. But I think that about wraps up DC.
DC.
What do you think?
I'd love it. I was going to say this other thing. One thing I love about traveling, just in general, is that like, especially DC, there's so many like famous monuments. It's like whenever you watch a movie or a TV show and you see that monument, you just look at it, I've been there.
Exactly. Now we can do that.
Yeah, exactly. DC's on the list now.
Yep. Checked it off. All right.
I got one question though. Is DC lively?
I think so. DC's pretty lively.
There's definitely a lot to do. Very lively. Very lively.
All right. Stay
Stay lively,
lively, y'all.